You may have considered yourself this close to mastering movement in Fortnite, but with the addition of jetpacks in the game, there is a whole lot more to learn. Hi, what is going on YouTube? My name is Onyi, and in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to master jetpacks in Fortnite. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you two different places to do this. Number one, my movement basic map. Now you can get this code from the description down below or in the comment section. All you have to do is go into island code, copy and paste the code into here, and then load it up. I'm also going to be showing you guys movement with jetpacks also in Battle Labs, which is the actual map. It just doesn't have the addition of zone or other players. Once the countdown timer has run out, you can go over here and open up the movement chest. You can also grab a couple of weapons outside of the weapon chest. I have updated this as of recent to have the most latest guns in the game. Please take note, there is one more video coming out for the movement series to make it a total of 4 to show you everything covering movement in the game. So there's many ways to use jetpacks in Fortnite. I find them to be more of a fun item to use rather than a useful one, and also I believe them to be more useful in build mode of the game than zero build mode. I find that there is 6 main ways to use jetpacks in the game. They are stopping fall damage, using less mats, to get height easier or to build easier, traversing buildings without using mats, to play more offensively, and also to skybase. I believe lots of people use jetpacks in the wrong ways. Mainly the way that they use them that is incorrect is for evasion or running away from other players, trying to get height without building in the game, and also using it for pathing. Before I get into the techniques and how to use those in game, let's get into the basics of jetpacks. So jetpacks have 2 indicators on them. Number 1 is for your fuel. So down in your inventory, for example, on my bottom right hand side of my screen, there is a fuel meter. Now the reason that we're playing this in both Battle Labs and also my movement map, as my movement map has some advantages. Number 1, you have infinite builds in this map. So if you want to practice your builds as much as possible with the jetpack, you're never going to have to farm. And number 2, the jetpack has infinite fuel in this map, so it's never going to break. The fuel gauge in an actual game, when that runs out, the jetpack will deplete and it will end up blowing up. Do note, you cannot fill up your jetpacks with fuel in the game, so don't even bother trying, as you cannot replenish this fuel. The only way you can get this fuel back up is by picking up a new one. The other gauge is the gauge on your back. Now this gauge shows you how much you can use the jetpack before it overheats. Similar to using the minigun or the turrets on top of tanks, you can't use it forever. So if I'm using this jetpack right now, you can see that the gauge on the back of my character is actually being depleted. Now what this means is when this gets to the bottom, not only will it give me a sound indication and start flashing, but it'll stop working altogether. Do note, this does recharge relatively quickly, so you can catch yourself and you won't take fall damage. Jetpacks don't cause fall immunity in the game, even when they completely break if you run out of fuel, as shown in the indicator on the bottom right hand side of your screen. So if you do run out of that and your jetpack does end up blowing up and breaking, you can die of fall damage very, very easily. I typically find that as long as you're not like running around in the game and just like spamming it for no reason, the jetpack button, and if you just use it for getting your positioning and if you're using it for actual useful purposes rather than just randomly, you should have enough fuel for the end of a game. As a side note, I just want to let you guys know this is actually my second time recording it. I've already recorded the whole video and edited it, but I thought it wasn't good enough and it wasn't like clearly explained enough, so I decided to record the whole thing again and write some notes. So if for that extra effort, if you could leave the video with a like rating and subscribe down below, I'd greatly appreciate it. Only 3% of people who currently watch the videos are subscribed. If we could get that number up to 10%, or if I could get to like 10,000 or 100,000 subscribers one day, that would be absolutely amazing. But anyway, back to the video. The other basics for using jetpacks in the game is learning about direction and scoping. So if you use a jetpack in the game and you scope down your item, your jetpack will continually work while your item is scoped in. You don't need to hold down that button. Do note the gauge on your back will continue to deplete. This does not mean that you're locked in a mode where you're just hovering and it's not using any of the fuel up. So if you decide to hover a certain amount and then you just aim down sights, you'll continue to hover, and this makes it easier to scope in and fight. But you can also shoot while just using the tapping technique also. So when it comes to the last basics of jetpacks directioning, it's very important to take note of. It's very hard to direct yourself while using them. Although you can use jetpacks and move forward with them very, very easily. For example, if you just sprint and run into it, or for example, if you're scoping down and you're moving into it, you can't really move side to side or backwards. You can move upwards very easily with jetpacks if you're not holding down the forward button, but moving in any other direction can be quite a struggle. There is ways to do this, and the main way that you do this is you let go of the jetpack, you change direction mid-air while you're falling, and then you tap it again. For example, if I want to turn around this corner and get up on this little ledge section here, what I have to do is when I jump off, I'll go forward and then I let go of the jetpack and I turn mid-air. Do note how long it takes to take a full rotation of this. So using a jetpack for direct pathing is not really advantageous. If you're trying to run away from someone and turn corners at the same time, you're more than likely to get hit. So let's cover the 6 techniques on how to use jetpacks in the game. Number 1 is stopping fall damage. So if you're 3 builds high or 3 stories high in Fortnite, you should not be taking any form of fall damage if you're landing on a flat surface. However, if your velocity changes, this can mean you can take fall damage from lesser heights. If you're above those 3 stories, you will be taking fall damage. So you can use jetpacks to break this. Now there's 2 ways to do this. Number 1, which I don't really recommend because it means that people are going to be able to track you a lot easier, is use it a little bit before the ground when you're in that 3-story little section here. For example, using it like here and then just like folding the rest, knowing that you won't take fall damage. The better way to do this is by perfecting your timing and using the jetpack at last second to not hit the ground. The second main technique to using jetpacks in the game is using less mats. Typically, if you push someone in Fortnite, say for example this tree is a person, you want to be triple ramping, and triple ramping involves placing 3 builds at a time. So if someone tries to shoot you out, they're going to have to shoot more than 1 build in order to break you down, and it makes it a little bit harder for them. With the addition of jetpacks in the game, the old school technique of using these in Fortnite is by reserving your mats. So while triple ramping, it costs you 30 mats each time because you're placing 3 builds per story. But with jetpacks, you can single ramp. Now, although you can get shot down a lot easier, you don't have to worry about this because you can catch yourself very easily with the jetpack. Do note, while falling, you can be an easy target in the air, so I don't recommend this for using absolute height, but say if you're in a build fight against someone and they're starting to ramp towards you, you can just single ramp towards them while they're triple ramping. You can get that height a lot easier because you're using less input. Third main way to use jetpacks is to get height easier or to build easier. So typically in Fortnite, if you want to get height, the age-old technique is by cranking 90s in the game. With the addition of jetpacks in the game, you don't have to crank 90s. You can build while using your jetpack. All you have to do is have your jetpack out and then just build while using it. This means that you can get height a lot quicker and a lot easier. You can cover yourself with 2 walls like this, or you can do a single simple wall. I prefer doing the 2 so it's a bit harder to shoot down, but if you're in a build fight with someone or you're trying to get height on someone, you can use this technique in order to get height super easy on them. The reason that you want to get heights, as we've covered in my other videos in the past, is you can hit easier headshots on people, as headshots do more damage. The 4th main way to use jetpacks in the game is to traverse landscapes without building. Now, as I've noted before, that moving directionally in Fortnite can be quite a struggle with jetpack. But say for example, if I want to get up here and I don't want to build, I can just simply jetpack up on top of it. Do note, it's quite hard to hit a jetpack into a mantle because the mantle key is the same as the jetpack button. Just in case you don't know how to load into Battle Labs, hit your game settings here, scroll up one for all of the game modes made by Epic Games to have nothing creative, and then select Battle Labs and then private your game and press play. While loading into Battle Labs, you typically spawn on this side of the island. If you want to change this, select your setting key, go into the gear option and go back to hub, and then you can choose one of the directions on the island to spawn. I prefer landing on the west side because you have Command Cavern there, and this blimp I think is going to stay here throughout storyline, because although some of these will be taken back by the 7 and disappear, I think this one's going to stick around. Jetpacks spawn currently at blimps in the game. There's currently 8 possible spawn locations for jetpacks as far as my knowledge goes in the game, and I'll show you where those are. So in every single blimp in the game, you can get jetpack from one of the following dual sets of spawn locations. You can get it from these back walls here. Note that the jetpacks leave this little indicator on the wall of where they normally do spawn. You can also get them from the sides here, or next to the doors, right where you come through the sides of the blimp. And if you go in this bottom section of the blimp here, there's also a potential spawn on both of these walls. I think there's a total of 12 spawn locations, sorry, my bad. There's also on the doors here at the bottom in the mid section where they can potentially spawn. And I've also found that there's a couple locations around the IO bases where jetpacks also spawn. For example, at the bottom section here, which I was unaware of them not spawning on blimps everywhere. So probably at some of the 7 outposts, you might be able to find them. Technique number 5 of using jetpacks in the game is to play offensively. What I mean by this is jetpacks are not something to get away from people unless you happen to be building lots in a match. If you're using a jetpack to play offensively in the game, typically what I do is I'll hit an initial shot on someone, I'll use the jetpack to get behind them, and then I'll hit a mid-air shot. You can also reload mid-air if you're using the Ranger shotgun in the game. So when this comes into the incorrect ways to use jetpacks, running away or getting away from people if they shoot you. If you use a jetpack, you're going to be pretty much a clear target in the air. Unless you're close range to them and go behind them, it can be a little bit hard for some people to 180 if they play super low sense like myself. But for the most part, you're going to get hit. So the reason that you want to use this offensively is you want to be hitting them back. You want to hit that initial first shot, and then you want to move like over the top of them, where you can have like a high chance of hitting a headshot. and then you can hit another shot. Different to evading and running away from someone, pathing is more so repositioning yourself in order to get a better advantage in a fight. For example, going behind a door so you can line up a shotgun shot after someone shoots you. So if someone shoots you in the game, you prefer to run, sprint, slide around corners and stuff. If you decide to use jetpacks instead, similar to how if you try and use it to run away from people, you're going to become a clear target because it's a little bit hard to change those directions. And for example, to 180 and change sharply in the air. This pretty much all ties into the same thing, similar to how getting height without building just makes you an open target in the air. If you're not playing offensively and you're using that like that, if you're just like hovering up in the air, you're more than likely to get hit. If you build and go up, it's less likely for that to happen, and that's the better technique to use. So in order to tie everything together and in order to master jetpacks in the game, you want to practice a few things. Number one, you want to practice hitting that jetpack button last minute before hitting the ground. You really want to get that timing down right. You don't want to be hitting it early so it's not as easy for people to predict your movement. You can also practice this while jumping on the head of a bot if you're playing Battle Labs, for example, so you can try and learn how to perfect your shots without hitting the ground. The way I prefer to use them to stop fall damage is before I fall off, I'll tap it once to look around where I'm going, and then I'll tap it once last second. Now the reason that I tap it once is so I can have a full outlook on where everything is around me. I can gauge myself if there's any enemies under me, where I'm about to land, if I can build there, if I can't build there. It kind of makes it a lot easier to determine what's going to be the next thing to happen after I land. You want to practice using them while building. So if you can practice using your builds in order to like single ramp yourself up, or practice your builds in order to ramp straight up with the jetpack, because it can be a little bit hard to like understand what that like process is of pulling out your builds and then using the jetpack. You want to learn that changing direction mid-air, so how you can't just completely like turn left or turn right, how you have to let go of using the jetpack, and pretty much you should have it down pat after that. Very important to not use your jetpacks to run away, and to take note that if you are using it in zero build mode, it really depends on the type of players you come up against. If you come across someone who's good at tracking and good at shooting people in the air, similar to if someone is gliding, the jetpacks are probably not going to work in your favor. If you are going to be using the jetpacks in zero build mode, I highly recommend it to use it to get to heights that you normally can't get to if you don't have builds, and then also on top of that to use the jetpack for your pushes. Do note, when you're using your jetpacks for your pushes, so using the rule of playing offensively with it, you want to make sure you cut off your line of sight. Note the way I approach this, I'm using the tree to give me cover even though I'm pushing forward, and therefore they couldn't peek around the corner and hit me. Something else that's really worth mentioning is Fortnite is a fun game. This is not a game that you have to play competitively and you have to be a sweat and you have to enter all the cash cups. So if you want to use the jetpack for fun, use it for fun. You don't have to use it any specific one way. You may be able to use this in ways that I could not imagine in zero build mode and make it your own. In the lobbies that I play in, I find that I get beamed when I use this, but it might work out for you. So make it your own, have fun with it. Remember, that's the whole point of the game, and learn to laugh at your own mistakes, as I find that to be a great way to find the game more enjoyable. So thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you did enjoy it, make sure if you haven't yet already, leave it with a like, rating and subscribe down below, or leave the video with a comment. It really does help the channel grow. My name is Onyi. I also stream on Twitch. I have a Discord, I have a Twitter. Check out all the links down in the description below. I'd appreciate it if you could use code ONY in the Fortnite item store to help out a small creator. That's ONYI. A lot more to come, so stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Goodbye.